Good morning, everyone. Today is Sunday morning, beautiful Gooteh Voch. Good week. Today is the 26th of Tevis, and we're continuing in chapter 16 in Tanya. On page 76 in Chayenu, if you have a Chayenu to follow along. The flow is as follows. A Beinoni inspires the divine service through developing a love and fear of Hashem. How do you do that? You think about it. You have to work on it. It's not something that, it's within every yid automatically. But if you really want it to rise to the surface, you got to think about it and you got to do what you can to bring it out. And this love and fear becomes the wings to make your actions soar to heaven. A bird's nice, but without wings, You know what I mean? Got to have wings to soar and fly in the sky. However, if a fully developed and felt love and fear cannot be attained, and you either laziness or you try and it just doesn't work, and the Beinoni should at least develop a mental emotion of love and fear. So at least scratch the surface, do what you can, even if it's superficial. Today's lesson, the Beinoni's good intent, meaning extensive meditation on Hashem, is linked to deed by divine intervention, serving as the inspiration towards performance and thus elevating the mitzvahs. This is what our sages of blessed memory hinted at this principle stated here, that the tevuna love, a tevuna love is like tevuna from the same word as bina, lahavin, to understand. So the tevuna love too has the power of elevating one's Torah mitzvahs. Maybe we're not there yet on a wholehearted level, but at least we could think about it and work on our love and fear of Hashem. When they said, they said that the Holy One, blessed be He, good luck, the Holy One, blessed be He, joins a good thought to the deed. You know how we say it's the thought that counts? So this is what we're talking about. You put your thought into it, you think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu before you do the mitzvah. You don't just go and throw your tefillin on. You think about how, wow, I have an opportunity to wrap myself up in a mitzvah, and you thank Hashem for the opportunity. So a good thought, you join a good thought to the deed. The simple meaning of the phrase is that when one intends to do a mitzvah, but is prevented from doing so, Hashem ascribes to him as though he had actually performed it. So let's say, and we're going to bring some examples soon, let's say a person just simply doesn't have the money to give, he wants to give a lot of tzedakah, but he only has a few coins, that's all he has. So the desire to do it gives him the ability to have the credit to do it, as if he did it. So the Torah considers as if he did it. Or let's say I want to sit and learn all day long, or I want to wear my tefillin all day long and daven, but I can't, because my mother's coming to pick me up and I got to go. And I can't do it all day, right? I can only do it certain times. But the fact that you're thinking about it gives you credit already. So it says Hashem joins the thought to the deed. What does that mean? It seems to indicate that the thought was indeed implemented, but the action is somehow detached from it and requires that Hashem join the two together. What's the inyan? The explanation, however, lies in the following principle. The key. The chilu rechimu sheviskalos libay hein hamislabshim emaisei mitzvah lachyoisam leparcha leila. It is the revealed fear and love of Hashem in the heart that vest themselves in one's performance of the mitzvahs, giving them vitality to soar on high. The heart is also, it's another organ, it's another part of the body like the other organs, which are instruments of action. It's interesting because when we talk about Talmud Torah, you can't just read the book with your eyes. Yeah, you could, but the inyan is saying it. You have to articulate it with your mouth and with your lips. So how do we exercise the heart muscle or some of the other things? The lungs, take a deep breath before you blow the shofar. Right? Say a bracha, shmeichel shofar. Those lungs are being utilized in the mitzvah. Your feet are bringing you to shul. Your hands are wrapping the tefillin around your arm. So how do you use the heart? By thinking of loving and fearing Hashem, you're using your heart through your machshava. It's amazing. The heart, however, internal is the organ's source of vitality. But not only that, the heart also pumps the blood. The blood gives us life, the ability to live. So the heart's obviously giving us is much more involved than we might think. But because the heart in its corporality is close to the other organs and also provides their vitality, right? The heart gives us life by pumping the blood through and cleaning the blood. Or maybe that's the liver. We need the liver also. It can therefore clothe itself in the actions to be their wings, elevating them. So maybe the heart's not like the hand putting on the tefillin, but the heart is giving the energy to the rest of our organs in order to serve Hashem. So as we see in practice, when one acts out of love, his hands become animated. As I stated, when the soul's revelation reaches the point where it's felt in a revealed love, it becomes so materialized that it can be experienced in the other organs of the body. It can therefore animate their actions. I don't know why he said when one acts out of love, his hands become animated. Either you're hugging, or sometimes when you're talking, you're using your hands, you're getting all into it. It's not the Gemara, right? That's why we use our hands. It's like, well, it helps us. It brings the rest of our, imagine we just sat stagnant like this. And we said, okay, the Gemara says, no, you got to shuckle and shake. You got to get your whole body involved. So really what? You react, right? Your hands want to help out, but your heart also wants to help out. So one of the ways is that the heart is helping the rest of the body with the blood flow and everything. It's giving you energy. It's giving you life. Without a heart, God forbid, a heart stops. We celebrated a big Simcha this Shabbos, Steve. Allegra came back to shul. She said a goymel, and it was a very big Simcha. There's a woman who had a massive heart attack on Simchas Torah, a young woman. And she came back, and the heart is needed. Her heart stopped. They had to work on her heart for 22 minutes. So if our heart's not working, we're not working, right? That's obvious. You don't want to harden your heart either, chas v'shalom. But I'm saying chas v'shalom, somebody loses a finger or two. My brother's stepfather has 2 fingers missing. He was working on a bandsaw. Whatever, it's a very unfortunate thing. But you can still have a very productive life. But without the heart beating, nothing happening, right, Zalman? So furthermore, what? But let's take it one step further. We can actually utilize that organ with working on our Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. That's where the heart comes in also. That's the base of our emotions. Yes, the mind has to dictate how the emotions work, but the heart is the seat of the emotions. The above mentioned fear and love that are in the intellect of the brain and the recesses of the heart are of a far higher order than the level of action. There's just emotion. This not just. There's emotion. Therefore, they cannot clothe themselves in the performance of the mitzvahs to become their intellectual power of vitality, to elevate them so that they may soar on high. So the inability, Shalom, open up your page. So the inability of the love to find expression beyond the mind, which is far more spiritual than the other organs. The brain is the level where you could think deeply into HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The rest of the organs can't do that. It indicates that the revelation of soul the revelation of soul present in the Tvuna love has not become materialized enough to affect the other more corporal organs. So right now, this more spiritual level of a person resides in the brain. We want to take that and bring that to the rest of the body. It probably starts with the heart, because the love and the fear are coming from the heart. If not for the fact that Hashem joins and unites them together with action, so that they may serve as its wings, the tevuna, fear and love, are called good thought, for they're not actual love and fear in a revealed state in the heart. They're in the brain still. They're in a contemplation state. You're thinking about the love and the fear of Hashem. That should hopefully lead to a greater love and fear of Hashem. But right now, they're just in the mind. They're only in the intellect of the brain and the recesses of the heart, as mentioned above. Since they express themselves in the mind, they're called good thought. Machshava tova, as we mentioned. So this then is the illusion contained in the statement, Hashem joins the good thought to the deed. Hashem joins the good thought, the tefuna, love and fear, to the good deed that one has actually performed, so that the deed is not separate from the thought, but instead is elevated by it. Okay, the Alter Rebbe now brings a little footnote here. He's sure. He states that this idea is expressed in the Kabbalah in terms of the spheres, the divine attributes, and from this we may understand this parallel in the human faculties. We'll just take a break. This is a little esoteric. The Zohar, the Kabbalah, and Eitz Chaim in the Hebrew says that the Hebrew word tevuna, understanding, comprises of the letters which form the words. If you take the word tevuna and we could break out the words bein ubas, son and daughter, which in terms of human emotions represent love and fear. Very interesting, similar to the Maimer. We were saying yesterday, the Yud K Vav K, if we take we have the numerical value of 52 because you take the Yud and each letter of the Aleph Beis is spelled out as well. So Yud is Yud, Vav, Dalid. But a Hey could be Hey Aleph, Hey Hey, or Hey Yud. So which one is it? So we need the spiritual giants to tell us. In this particular case, it was Hey Hey. That's how you spell Hey. In any event, we take the word Tvuna, which means understanding, and we break it down into Bas, Bain and Bas, son and daughter, which in terms of human emotions represent love and fear. Sometimes the Tvuna descends to become the intelligence in the feminine aspect of the small things, sometimes in the masculine, but here he mentions in the feminine, meaning the recipient of the divine midas or attributes, which are referred to collectively as small things, quote unquote, which in the human sphere refers to the letters of the Torah and the mitzvahs. The normal order would be that Tvuna descends first to the small things, but sometimes, however, there's a direct flow from Bina to Malchus. Maskil Yavin, the initiated shall understand. Okay, this is just a little side footnote back into the Tanya. State of Zeh, Mitzvah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kidei La'alei Samaisa Mitzvahs V'Yisagat Torah, Hanasim Ba'yidei Machshava Tova, Neskar Zil Ad Oilam Habriya. Hashem affects this joining of Tevuna to action, which means when you think about the greatness of Hashem, which brings you to a love and fear of Hashem, he takes this sitting down and thinking of the love and fear of Hashem. That it's not just sometimes you do something, you walk in a room and a certain person scares you. Their actions, their past, the way they look at you, there's trepidation. Maybe there's past trauma, whatever it might be. So that's when it comes to certain times. Maybe that's Yom Kippur, like Kol Nidre. Maybe that's when you're saying the words, who shall live, who shall die. You're fearful and then there's other times where you're dancing with the Torah and you have that great love. So that's automatic. That's coming from the emotional aspect. But then there's the sitting down and thinking, I'm about to daven and I'm going to stand before the king, but I can't see him, I can't feel him. So if I think about this concept that the king is going to be looking at me and judging me for the day and how things are going to go, so now I can start conjuring up a love and fear of Hashem, right? So it's love and fear of Hashem through a thought process. So that's the tefuna, and it brings to action in order to elevate the performance of the mitzvahs and the Torah study. If I think that Hashem is watching what I do, I'm going to try to do the mitzvah as best as I could, and I'm going to learn Torah as focused as possible, which are now carried out through the influence of the good thought that I worked on before I began and approached this mitzvah. And then what happens? It comes down into the world of Bria. What does that mean? I'm sure, Michael, if you come to daven, and everyone here, you come to daven, if you just throw in your tefillin and daven, you're still accomplishing the mitzvah. But if before you put on your tefillin, you stop and think, God is expecting me to do this mitzvah to connect to Him. I have an opportunity to talk to the King, the Creator of the world. Yeah, what an awesome responsibility. What an incredible opportunity. So automatically, the minute you start thinking about it, your prayer, your whole experience takes on wings. Now you're soaring because you're thinking about that Hashem loves me. He's waiting for me to connect to Him. But also it's kind of scary because I'm standing in the throne room. And by the way, all the other guards walked out. Now I'm standing alone with the king. He can do whatever he wants to me. So it takes on a whole new meaning. There's a very great importance of preparing ourselves before we go to daven or learn or do any mitzvah. However, even without this joining, they rise to the world of Yitzhak. So when we do that, a lot of spiritual things take place. And in summary, even one who cannot create a conscious, palpable love and fear of Hashem in his heart, which means it's more of a superficial thing. You think about it and you're like, okay, how much does it affect you? Are you shaking with fear and awe and trembling? No. Are you just in love that you're like, oh, hey, Mr. I want to hug you? No. Okay. You think about it for a moment. It brings you to a higher level in order to daven with Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. Okay, so at least we got somewhere, right? So even if you can't create a conscious, palpable love of Hashem in his heart, you can still serve Hashem with perfect service through this thinking about loving and fearing Hashem. Tfuna emotions. And thereby, too, his performance of Torah mitzvahs are going to ascend to the same level as that motivated by a revealed love and fear of Hashem. You want to reach the highest level? You want your prayers to soar to heavens? All you have to do is stop before davening, stop before you're performing a particular mitzvah. You're about to eat and say a bracha. Think, I am saying a blessing on this food that Hashem gave me the opportunity to eat, to give me energy, and to thank Him for it. Then your mitzvah goes to the highest level. So we don't have to think, oh, I'm not on a level of a tzaddik. This is Alter Rebbe laying out for us. You could be a Beinoni. You could be that person that every thought, speech, and action is dedicated to Hashem, even though you're in a rush and you might, benching takes so long. I don't really want to do it right now. All we have to do is just put our mind to it, and we can do it. So the takeaway for today, Chevra, is performing a mitzvah has a cosmic effect. We didn't even touch on that much, but the idea that it goes on to the spiritual worlds and it affects the heavens, and then it comes back down and affects the earth. The more heart, the more love, the more soul that we put into the mitzvah, the greater effect it would have. Have a good day, everyone. Oh, before we turn off the recording, I just want to give a shout out to Shalom and Maishi and Michael and Salman and Nati and Tzvi and Steve and Chaim and everyone in the back over there and Charlie. Have a good day, everyone.